So first of all, I would like to say good afternoon to all the committees and good afternoon classmates and all the audience who are presenting here today. And my name is Step Suchit. I am very honored to be here and present my teaching practicum report that I have conducted recently. Okay, so the purpose of the presentation today is to present the success made during the teaching practicum, also to present some challenges, and I will also provide some solutions to the challenges. So, last but not least, to sum up the practicum report. Due to the time constraint, we cannot go through every part of the report. So I have selected the most important part of the report to present today. So before discussing what's in the report, I would like to acknowledge the support of the University of Southeast Asia for allowing me to conduct my teaching practicum on the campus and also allowing me to use the facilities in the classroom. And I would like to express my gratitude to all of these individuals. Without them, I could not make this possible. So I would like to thank Mr. Rim Dipeng, the Director of Foreign Language Institute, for making this opportunity not for me but also for all the candidates of Foreign Language Institute. And I would like to say thank you to Ms. Susu Lee, my supervisor and also a lecturer of English, who always gave me support, motivation, and also suggestions when I needed the most. And I would also like to say thank you to Mr. Rindratha for allowing me to observe his teaching and also allowing me to teach his students for 2 sessions or 3 hours. I would like to express my appreciation to the 41 students of the Burma class for their cooperation and their engagement in every activity. So today's content is as follows. First, we start with the introduction and then discussion. Then we move on to conclusion, recommendations, and the last one is bibliography, the sources of the information. Purpose of the report. So this report is aimed to report on what I have done during my teaching practicum. And then I will do the reflection on what I have done successfully and unsuccessfully, and also provide some suggestions as practical as possible. The last one, I will make some recommendations for the future student teachers. So let's get started. Let's moving on to discussion. I would like to start my discussion with giving instructions. So the challenge that I faced during giving instruction was that it consumed a lot of time, and some of the students could not understand what I told them to do. It was due to the fact that the level of the student was very different. Some students could understand quickly and some students could not. In addition, I use English all the time. So what could we do? To tackle this problem, we could use L1, which is Khmer, right? And we can demonstrate instead of explaining. If you want them to fill in the gap, do one for them to see. If you want them to have a discussion, pick a pair of students and let them do an example for the whole class. It is very crucial to use ICQs. And ICQ stands for Instruction Checking Questions. I would like to give you an example on this one. For example, suppose that you are in a group right now. Okay, so I give you the instruction. Everyone, I would like you to work in group. You have 5 minutes to answer 5 questions, and I'd like you to write your questions down. And then you use ICQ. Are you working in a group or alone? In group. How much time do you have? 5 minutes. And do you have to write your answers down? Yes or no? Yes. So that is ICQ. And then you don't have to spend a lot of time walking around and ask and explain again and again. And plan your instructions carefully before teaching. Okay, so that's all for the giving instruction. Moving on to teaching grammar. This is also the main part of my lesson. So the target language of my grammar was demonstratives, one and ones, and how much is this or that, how much are these and those. And the learning aim was to enable students to use the target language to ask and answer about prices, which they have to perform as sellers and customers. And the methodology that I use, grammar in context, which I provide context to explain to explain the meaning of the grammar to the students. And I also use CLT. CLT stands for Communicative Language Teaching, whose main goal is to build student communication competence. And these are the stages of my teaching. First, I provide a context to teach the grammar point, the target language. For example, I pick one of the students' pen, and then I ask, how much is this? And I try to get the student to answer 8 days, 500 real or 1,000 real. And then I point to another pen which is far away from me. How much is that? That is, and then I try to get the answer from the student. And to teach these and those, I pick 2 pens and then I asked, how much are these? And then I point to 2 pens which are far away from me, far away from me. And then I ask, how much are those? I don't have to explain it clearly. I don't have to teach it explicitly. I just give them the context. And then during the practice stage, I just ask them to fill in the gaps. And then we do the whole class checking, and I did the error correction as necessary. So this is the teaching the form and to make sure that the student understand all the form and the uses of this and these, one and one. And in the production stage, I divided students into 2 groups. Group A were the sellers and group B were the customers. And the customers had to walk around the class and buy stuff from the group A. After that, they changed the roles. And I have to listen carefully to their speaking as well. And then I have to do the whole class correction after the production stage. In case they make some errors, and then do the whole class correction afterwards. Okay, so the success. It was evidently clear that it was a success because students could ask and respond to the question about the prices and make some errors, but I do the whole class correction. And the challenges was students struggle with the pronunciation, with one and ones, with S, and this and these. So what can we do? So we can use the imitation technique. Just ask students to repeat after you, or you can use a pronunciation drill which students have to repeat after you individually or the whole class. Moving on to teaching reading. So the learning aim was to develop students' skimming skill and scanning skill. Skimming means to read quickly and get a general idea. And scanning means to read carefully to find the specific information. And the approach that I used was top-down approach, which means I have to ask some question related to the topic and to get students to get involved. And then I ask them to predict, what are you going to learn today? So that is called a top-down approach. So these are the stages of my teaching. First, the pre-reading is like presentation. Pre-teaching, I ask students some questions related to shopping because the reading, this is in the session 2, I'm sorry. I have to clarify this one. So grammar in the session 1 and reading in the session 2. Yeah, so I asked students some questions about the shopping, and then I asked them, what are you going to learn today? And then they responded, oh, we're going to learn about shopping. So that is called top-down approach. So that is the lead-in. And then while reading, students were divided into 4 groups, and each group have to be responsible for 1 paragraph. And then I asked each student to give the general idea of each paragraph. And then I pre-teach some vocabulary which were not familiar to them. And then I asked them to find the answer and locate the answer. For example, the label. Okay, this answer is in paragraph 1. This answer is in paragraph 2. And in the post-reading, there were 4 questions which students have to answer using their experience or knowledge instead of finding the answer in the text. So this is in the post-reading. And the success. It was a success because students could answer the question correctly. And challenge. Some students could not get the gist or general idea of the paragraph because I did not teach the skimming skill. So the solution is to teach the skimming skill before letting students to. If I had a chance again, I would just tell students to read quickly and ignore the difficult words because the aim is to get a general idea, not specific information. So I would like to make a conclusion. In conclusion, to give instruction effectively, it is recommended to use L1, examples, demonstration, and ICQs. And in teaching grammar, it is beneficial to give context in which the LTL, the target language, is used, so that the student understand the importance of learning that grammar. And so regarding teaching reading, it is worthwhile to spend some time teaching skimming and scanning. So I would also like to make some recommendations, some general recommendations for the future student teachers who are presenting here today. Future students should plan their instructions carefully, and so that you can save some time for productive activity or meaningful activity instead of wasting a lot of time walking around, explain one by one. And so in order to increase the chance of success in your teaching, you should keep in touch with your supervisor and also the homeroom teacher in order to discuss what approach, methodology, techniques, and what you should do. So the chances are you will succeed in your teaching. And so while observing your homeroom teacher, try to make the most use of that time. Take notes. How many students in the class? Are they active or not? What kind of style do they prefer? Do they like talking? Do they like writing? And so take notes, make the most use of that time. And then the last one, the report should be written right after your teaching. Otherwise, you will not remember everything that you have done. That's all of my presentation, and this is the bibliography. Sorry for pronouncing that word. I mess up all the time. Yes, and this is the only one photo. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.